Hello, welcome to Sound and Fairy Book Reviews. As usual, I am Tina. Today I'm doing a book review of The Dark Between the Trees by Fiona Barnett. This is a horror book to lead us into October from Solaris Publishing, and I received this arc from NetGalley in exchange for a fair review. So thank you so much to Solaris. I really enjoyed this book, and it is coming out in early October, I believe. Yeah, I never remember when these things are coming out. There are no spoilers in this review, except for one at the end that I warn you is coming. So, a glorious mishmash of genres, but still strongly situated in horror, The Dark Between the Trees taps into our most primal fears about being lost in the woods. What is it about? 1643. A small group of parliamentarian soldiers are ambushed in an isolated part of northern England. Their only hope for survival is to flee into the nearby Moresby Woods. Unwise though that may seem, for Moresby Woods is known to be an unnatural place, the realm of witchcraft and shadows, where the devil is said to go walking by moonlight. 17 men enter the wood, only 2 are ever seen again, and the stories they tell of what happened make no sense. Stories of shifting landscapes, of trees that appear and disappear at will, and of something else, something dark, something hungry. Today, 5 women are headed into Moresby Wood to discover once and for all what happened to that unfortunate group of soldiers, led by Dr. Alice Christopher, a historian who has devoted her entire academic career to uncovering the secrets of Moresby Wood. Armed with metal detectors, GPS units, mobile phones, and the most recent map of the area, which is nearly 50 years old, Dr. Christopher's group enters the wood ready for anything. Or so they think. I guess the most important thing about a horror book was it scary? This book was scary enough. I wasn't terrified out of my mind, but it's very creepy, and reading it at night definitely gives you like the heebie-jeebies. As someone who walks in the woods at least a couple times a week with my dog, I've been freaked out a few times, mainly at dusk when the coyotes venture out, so I understand what it's like to feel the woods are watching you. And that's definitely the kind of sensation that the book gives out, is that while you're reading it, you kind of feel like someone's watching you, because that's what the characters feel. And I thought that worked in a mimetic way. The book is slow burn, though, which I thought, though, was great, because I really like slow burn books. I love the mystery and the dual timelines. We get equal time between both the 1600 soldiers and the early 2000s historians. In fact, the timelines were one of the most interesting things about the novel, because it gave it a real historical fiction kind of feel, and the way the stories were in parallel to one another, or rather spiraled into one another, was part of the fun of reading, figuring out what was going on. And my favorite horror movies specifically are ones that are set in the past, like The Awakening and The Others and The Terror. So this really worked for me because I really love like historical horror novels. The pacing is well balanced in that there are stretches of people just lost in the woods, wandering about, though neither of these stretches is too long that we get bored, nor are they so short it feels like the group is not in danger. So it was really well balanced that way. A lot of creepiness of the novel is based on not knowing what is going on or who is or what is hunting them. The legends around the woods that they are trapped in add to this, especially as the stories are often contradictory or unresolved. We're getting a lot of hearsay evidence about what's going on around here, and I thought that led to kind of my interest in the story. The characters worked for me. I think in basic horror like this, not like psychological horror, it's sometimes best not to have very deep or fleshed out characters, because then you care about them like too much. All I want are people with motivations that make sense and aren't complete jerks. This book provides that. We do have the jerk characters, but they are not the point of view characters, and the others were distinguishable from one another. There wasn't a character I particularly cared about, but I was less interested in the people than what was going on, so it worked for me. This is not a character-driven story. Now, the ending. Some readers might be torn about this, but I like an ambiguous conclusion in horror. Sometimes too much explanation worries away at the scariest of it, like when you see a haunted house with the lights on. There's also something fun about it being a mystery for centuries that is still not resolved, that in like 10, 20 years another group will enter the woods and what will happen to them, that kind of idea. Overall, The Dark Between the Trees is a ponderous, atmospheric story in the vein of movies like Blair Witch, The Witch, and The Ritual, and I recommend it to those who like their horror more menacing than slasher and with a kind of historical fiction focus. So yeah, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed that, and if you like horror, I think you should check it out. I'm going to talk about one spoiler right now, so just don't pay attention to that because it does kind of spoil the ending. But yeah, definitely check this book out, and then come back and listen to my spoiler. Okay, so here's the spoiler. Okay, so I shipped Alice, Dr. Christopher, and what's his name, Harking or Harding? Anyway, like the Davy's second in command. I can't remember his name. I know that sounds odd that I would ship these two when they were in completely different timelines, but when it was obvious kind of when they were in some kind of a time distortion bubble thing, I was like, what if they meet up? What if they like one another? And now that they're like trapped in the bubble together, I'm like, aw. It's probably the oddest meet cute ever, but I'm totally here for it. And I just thought it was amusing that this stupid idea that I had actually panned out. So yeah. So thanks for watching.